is to know ourselves to be divine through Christ. God is the principle of our salvation, both personal and collective. Truth and goodness are absolutes. They are God. Christianity teaches us to listen to God's voice and obey it. Because when we deny the existence of God, we're denying the principle of our own evolution and development. When we deny God, we deny ourselves. When we deny man's divinity through Christ, we open the door for genocide. I've heard it said that people have a hard time believing that a group of elites could agree on anything, let alone an evil agenda. But it seems like the process of achieving this agenda is too slow for a lot of people. It requires too much flawless, seamless, secretive cooperation. The only entity with the kind of plan and patience would have to be the devil himself, wouldn't it? At the beginning of the 20th century, here in America, fortunes were built by monopoly capitalists, by like J.P. Morgan and J.D. Rockefeller. The fact is, the D stands for devil. This is monopoly, but the desire to have everything and to drive everyone else out of existence. Evil is the spiritual cancer that seems to fulfill itself not in God, but in limitless material acquisition and sensual access. You know, it wasn't a huge leap for Rockefeller to go from owning the oil industry to the pharmaceutical industry, the banking industry, to owning the whole world. This is the reason the Rockefellers and their foundations have been at the forefront of population control and the eugenics movement. The goal is to reduce the Earth's population for the simple, warped reason that the less there is for you and me, the more there'll be for the elite and their cronies. The elite just love birth control. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Ted Turner. These are the ultra-rich. They've donated billions to spreading the gospel of contraception and abortion and feminism. They use the United Nations and USAID. Rockefeller funded the invention of the pill, the IUD. He owns the rights to the abortion drug RU-486. In the last 50 years, billions of public dollars have been spent on family planning. It's designed to limit the population by deceit, including compulsory abortions and infanticide. You know, in a book called The War Against Population by Dr. Jacqueline Cosson, writes in this 1981 book where they listed 90 private agencies, 12 United Nations, 57 agencies of the U.S. government who have signed on to this depopulation. The real problem of government family planning is not one of families out of control, but of planners out of control. It's for this same reason that the elite are behind sexual liberation and gay rights. Through funding and media control, they make us regard sex as a recreation, a physical release, rather than an expression of a spiritual bond through a loving marriage resulting in children. Because the elite's modus operandi is to finance and promote disgruntled minorities in order to destabilize and undermine the world. You know, feminism is a prime example of this. It pretends to be about giving women equal opportunity in the workplace, when in fact it's devoted to discouraging women from seeking fulfillment in motherhood. In this Bible of modern feminism, Betty Friedman, who wrote The Feminist Mystique, makes the obscene comparison between housewives and Nazi concentration camp inmates. Here's what she wrote. They were reduced to childlike preoccupation with food, elimination, the satisfaction of primal bodily needs. They had no privacy, no stimulation from the outside world. But above all, they were forced to spend their days in work which proceeded and produced great fatigue, required no mental concentration, gave no hope of advancement or recognition, was sometimes senseless, and was controlled by the needs of others. She made this comparison, comparing it to motherhood, comparing the nurturing of their children to a brutal slavery and poisoning at Auschwitz inmates. Now, Frieden, who hid the fact that she was a paid communist activist, should have been denounced as a hate monger. Instead, she was celebrated as the new oracle and received honorary degrees and fellowships at Harvard, Yale, and Columbia. The Saturday Review called her book a scholarly work, appropriate for serious study. An anthropologist, Ashley Monteith, said it was the wisest, sanest, soundest, most understanding and compassionate treatment of American women and their greatest problem. Really? Do we need more proof that the world is a one-horse company town? They decide which politician, university, and academics get funded, which books get published and reviewed, which movies get made. We're condemned to look into mirrors that don't reflect reality. That's why they're so skeptical of conspiracy. That's why programs like this, I'm called a fruit and a nut. Just a conspiracy theory. This is not conspiracy. This is fact. And it's been fact for the last 50 years. And history proves that. Yet instead of debating it, they start calling names. And on the other hand, Eve Itzler, reading her pornographic play, The Vagina Monologues, which feature women looking at their genitals with hand mirrors and describing steamy scenes of lesbian sex with minors, masquerades as feminist empowerment. In fact, it's an invitation to lesbianism. Feminist fits the elite depopulation agenda. In 1963, when The Feminine Mystique was published, we've experienced an unprecedented breakdown of the family. More than half of all children are now born out of wedlock. The number of single-parent households has tripled. In The Broken Hearth, William Bennett writes, most of our social pathologies, crime, imprisonment rates, welfare, education underachievement, alcohol and drug abuse, suicide, depression, STDs are manifestations, direct and indirect, of the crack-up of the American family. I think that we can all understand that that is absolutely true. It's the American family that's the foundation of this country. And they have successfully abolished it step by step for years. We're now suffering from underpopulation. The U.S. birth rate has been cut from 4 to 2 children per woman. The European and Canadian rate is 1.5, and we need 2.2 just for replacement. That's without growth. Russia, 1.17 children. Don't ask me how they get 1.17. Russia will see its population plummet from 145 million to 115 million by 2015. Pat Buchanan wrote the book Death of the West, and he argues that population decline is responsible for the inevitable extinction of the West because we're not repopulating. Instead, it's through these agendas the agendas that we're going to cover on today's program, that our population is declining. What does that mean for us? Well, reproduction requires delicate care. In the case of human beings, the female must be prepared for motherhood and honored for her contribution to society. The male must be shown that the standard of manhood is to provide leadership and sustenance for mother and children. Both mother and father, not mother and mother, father and father, both mother and father must be able to give their children intellectual and spiritual guidance. If you have two mothers and two fathers, you're not going to be able to give them spiritual guidance because you obviously don't have it yourself. Instead, in schools and universities, these tender shoots of feminine sexuality are crushed under the feminist boot. Young women are taught that heterosexual sex, marriage, and family are inherently oppressive. Homosexuality, on the other hand, is an act of rebellion that's healthy and normal. Frieden's comparison of mother with the concentration camp is really pertinent for this discussion, because agents of the elite have put mothers in the concentration camp. The ultimate aim here is genocide. The elite want the world's population to be much smaller. Can there be any question that this is the devil's work?
You're listening to W. Dean Shook, in-time prophecy news and current events. Stay tuned.
Professional identity thieves constantly search your information for vulnerabilities. At LifeLock, relentless protection of your identity is their primary mission. They help ensure that you stay ahead of identity thieves. LifeLock is first in the industry to offer proactive identity theft protection. They're level 1 compliant under the payment card industry data security standards. They have direct access to fraud resolution teams within their extensive network of lenders and service providers. They are experts through leadership with internationally recognized experts in privacy and security, technologies, fraud, and criminal methods. They also partnership with FBI law enforcement and the National Organization for Victims Assistance. Sign up today at wdeanshook.com and receive a 30-day free trial and 10% off your final purchase. The W. Dean Shook program has partnered with LifeLock to make sure your identity remains safe and secure, guaranteed. Get your 30-day free trial of LifeLock's industry-leading protection at wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com.
GoDaddy offers everything you need to make a name for yourself on the web, from domain names and website builders to complete e-commerce solutions. We've earned our place as the world's #1 accredited domain registrar by delivering world-class products at competitive prices and support them with industry-best services delivered 24/7, 365. We're proud to serve our customers from locations around the world. Sign up now at wdeanshook.com and get your domain name as low as $5.99 a year. Sign up now at wdeanshook.com. Go, Daddy. Go, Daddy.
Don't worry about your food supply when a disaster hits. At Buy Emergency Food,
Their focus is to provide families and individuals with the highest quality food storage available, along with the most effective survival gear online.